MK2 was great and stuff, but I really didn't want us to just do the same game with prettier graphics.
We were always trying to one-up what we did.
Yeah,
like obviously MK1 we had the, you'd fall into the pit. And that was great. It was always asking the question, well, what can we do next?
Reptile wins.
MK3 was like, now we're gonna knock you upwards. Now we're gonna knock you downwards.
Right.
Certainly the visual qualities of the backgrounds changed over time quite significantly.
As the story took it, MK3 was based more on Earth.
.3D technology played a part.
I had been learning how to sculpt things in 3D. I created what became the subway, and I showed Ed, I'm like, hey, we could actually just, instead of like going out and videoing stuff and getting things out of books or whatever, or even just drawing them, we could actually build them in 3D with correct lighting and stuff like that. And it could even help us do the parallaxing if we wanted to. He was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go that route. So a lot of the backgrounds, I would kind of build them in 3D, and then Tony would take that and draw on it and dress them up, make them look better from there.
There's a look that's missing. It looked kind of too plastic and toyish and simple, but it was great for a starting point. We would always touch up over it. That would give it its clean look. And one of the backgrounds that we started with 3D was the Soul Chamber. I always like a star in the background, and I just coined the name Soulnado for the soul inside the mouth, and I drew that in deluxe paint, frame by frame.
I did a drawing of this in 3D just so you can make it any size and any lighting, any angle you wanted. This is it's just ornamental, it's just like kind of a really neat background thing.
We would always in Mortal Kombat put in names, our names, hidden somewhere sometimes. And mainly it was the graveyard.
I'm sure that I probably designed in 3D the tombstones, and Tony probably drew in our names. A lot of that grass, and maybe even putting the background in there, like the sky and stuff. Dave Mikuchich joined our team, and he knew about Photoshop. We hadn't heard about Photoshop. Photoshop was new. He took that city scene with Shao Kahn's fortress in the distance. What I gave was kind of stale. It was very stark. He added like haze and all kinds of cool atmosphere with Photoshop. We started using Photoshop a lot after that.
Once we get the digitized image, it's a lot like painting. And right now we're going through a process where we sort of filter the images through. We'll grab the image and Steve Moran will start and do some Photoshop on the guy, and then we'll hand him over to Tony, who does some touch-up. And then it gets passed over to me, and then I do some of this more detailed touch-up, and then I give it back to Steve, and he kind of separates the different colors and creates the different palettes, and then we give it back to Tony, and he does the final touch-up and stuff and gets it ready for the game. I'm working on a friendship move for Shigoro character, and that's her tentative name. She didn't have a real name yet. The move is she's gonna turn around and she's gonna pull out sort of plates and little sticks, and she spins the plates and the sticks and balances them on her hand, and she does this with her back towards you.
I remember wanting the characters to be a little bit smaller. The reason I wanted them a little smaller was so they can have more lateral motion to run.
I remember having that conversation in Ed's office because my first reaction was, wait, we should be getting bigger. It's
Right.
like, what do you mean smaller, The hardware, we can push more stuff, and we should be making them bigger. But it didn't last long. I think once the run button was in, you saw right away the value of the sprinting.
Round one, fight.
I wanted it to be more aggressive. I always felt like our walking was a bit slow, and that really was pushing for the run.
To me, it feels weird when I play MK2. I feel like I'm in molasses. It's like, come on, I just want to move faster. So.
We really loved to see players doing combos, but some players just couldn't uppercut somebody and then jump and then, you know, juggle them and do all these kind of. So we wanted something that was a little bit more mechanical, right? Like anybody can do 1-1-2 or something like that. Right, the whole dynamic of the game was just so aggressive. And some people were intimidated by that.
Finish him.
It was somewhat controversial. There was a guy who was a tech in our, you know, like where they would build the games. He was looking at it and he goes, you know, I don't know why you added the run button, you know, I don't know what that. And then, you know, fast forward 3 weeks.
Nightwolf wins.
He actually came by and said, you know, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, man. That thing was cool.